Good evening, everybody, and welcome to tonight's Monday night panel. We've got our panel waiting in the wings to come and discuss the match against Salford on Saturday. But just a quick couple of things. Well done to the women yesterday who won 3-1 against Warminster. So they are now into the final of the Wiltshire County Cup. Academy didn't have a game at the weekend due to postponement at Plymouth. But I think a few of them did enjoy their time in the Junior Reds room, making crafts and playing with their FIFA. So well done to those. The kids love it when they're joined by players and the academy. And tomorrow at 10, tickets for Mansfield and Sutton. No, sorry, Warsaw will go on sale tomorrow at 10. Vic and I were just trying to work out where the next game was, and that's why we said Sutton. We missed Warsaw out. So Mansfield and Warsaw will go on sale tomorrow at 10. Tickets for those away games. So let's bring Vic on. Hi, Vic.
Hi, Chris. How are you? You okay?
You okay? Yes, you're not so good, I hear.
No, I'll bravely soldier on. So many thanks. Don't shout at me today because I'm feeling a bit, a little bit.
I feel for you. I've had it. I know. So
yeah,
my sympathies.
Yeah, I've got a fitness test fee if I can go to Gillingham tomorrow, but I think I might pass. Well done to the women yesterday. Tia Rees got a goal and Meg Jarvis with 2. They'll now play Purton on the 14th of April at the County Ground. That in the final of that competition. Purton beat Bemerton Harlequins yesterday 3-0. So they're through to the final. So well done to them. Some SAS travel news. Closed tomorrow, of course, due to the game at Gillingham. But if you're interested in the trip to Stockport, then get in touch as they need to book coaches by the weekend. Tomorrow, they leave County Ground at 2:00. Free parking for those travelling on the bus. Registration numbers will be taken on the coach and forwarded to the club. They enter the number into their system. And there you are. No charge for parking at the County Ground. So that's part of the deal. So looking forward to leaving tomorrow afternoon at 2:00.
2:00. And we've got to mention the Academy of playing Bristol Rovers tomorrow afternoon as well. So they've got a game tomorrow afternoon. Just a couple of things that are on the sofas. So we've got 3 players lined up for our 3 next away game Mondays. So we've got Steve Aberley, we've got Keith Scott, and we've also got Lawrence Figueroa, who is just confirmed just before we come on tonight. So we've got 3 of those. So we're nearly at the end of the season with them. So right, let's bring on the panel. So we've got Anna, we've got Mitch, we've got Dan, and last but no means least, with his new shirt, is Mr. Clement. There we go. Okay, so leave your questions in the comments, and we will get through as many as we can. And I will see you later.
Thanks very much indeed, Chris. Steve, the story of the shirt, because it's a vintage shirt, but not so vintage. Tell us about it.
Well, no, there's the one we all know, and I certainly grew up when I watched Swindon Town. It's the Premier League one. So I managed to try to get it for years and years and years, and then luckily I managed to get it 2 weeks ago from Greatest Kits. They're all on social media. Just type that in, you'll find them. And I'll tell you what, they've got a plethora of shirts going back way back when. You'd be amazed what they've managed to get their hands on over the time of running. So thanks to them, managed to get this one. There's a couple of other Swindon shirts there as well, but they're a local firm based in Pewsey. So they go to various sort of markets and towns. But no, this one certainly brings back some fond memories for me. I know that the Premier League season wasn't so great, but hey, we were there, and this is the shirt. So this is the one I sort of had the most fondness of and connection with. Let's put it that way.
You could have just messaged me. I got one of them. There we go.
I wouldn't say how much I parted for it, but it was a 3-figure sum. So
you could definitely have messaged me. I would have accepted it.
I'm sure. It's a medium. It's a bit tight, but a stone to go. We'll get there.
Yeah, you'll get there. Well done. Anyway, Anna, very good evening to you.
Hi, Vic.
Mitchell, not such good news with a shirt-type top replica thing. Tell us your story.
Yeah, no, it's not quite Swindon related, but being a Scotland fan, I ordered a Scotland hoodie for myself and my son, and had the pleasure of a Northern Ireland one sent in the post. So yeah, it's just a swap alliances now and go Northern Ireland.
Yeah, you will. Yeah, off you go to Belfast for the next game. Dan, how are you?
Evening, Vic. Hello, everyone. Yeah, really good. Thank you.
No shirt-related topics for you tonight. You okay?
No, but as it goes, I do like this kit.
Yeah,
I think it's one of the better away kits.
Yeah, I've got it up there somewhere. Yes, absolutely right. Let's talk about Saturday then before we get on to the rest of this week, because it's a busy old week. Anna, your thoughts on the Saturday? I think we can move swiftly on from the first half, which was, I think by common consent, pretty awful. I don't think there was much football played in that. But what was your thoughts on the game?
Yeah, I mean, overall, we shaded it quite significantly, didn't we? Particularly based on the second half performance and the number of shots we had. Just a shame we couldn't convert any of them. And we have that propensity, as we know, to suck one in at the other end in the dying minutes and not be able to hold on to a lead, which we need to. Perhaps we'll talk about a bit more about that later. But that was the great shame of it, of course. And you kind of hope that those habits are going to change, but something significant needs to be done for those. In terms of tactics, needs to be done as we approach the end. I think there was a table the other day, wasn't there, showing that we'd be something like third based on halftime performances, and you can feel that it's not just Saturday, is it? We know that that's been happening throughout the season. Overall, much better performance, I think. Certainly, second half, moved the ball more quickly, looking to make the decisive pass. Good running from Glatzel and Hepburn Murphy. Not so much on the finishing, maybe from Hepburn Murphy. But we've got some really good movers now. So when the ball is played into the channels or slightly longer, you pretty much know someone's going to be after it, and that's a big change from how it was before. A positive change. So overall,
Mitch,
good trend.
Yeah, Mitch, I think Glatzel is impressing, isn't he? I mean, I think he looks to be a player to me. But as soon as that 6 minutes goes up at the end of the game, you think 6 minutes, that's an awful long time, isn't it?
Yeah, soon as we score, I panic because we kind of completely change our style. I think one of the issues on Saturday in the first half was I don't think our forward line was very balanced. I think there's all pace and no focal point through the middle. So I'd have gone with either Charlie or Drennan through the middle, and then towards the last third, I know we got a goal and they both looked okay when they came on, but suddenly you had it looked like a striker playing out on right wing, and suddenly our line was slow. We didn't have that outlook to kind of break on them, and I feel like we scored the goal. We was in control. It's a great goal by McEachran, but as soon as we scored, we changed our style and we start panicking. If we're going to do that, my gut would have brought on Brewitt or Johnson just to put them in the midfield, even in midfield, and just say, look, head it, kick it, put an extra tall body on for, maybe someone like Khan who kept doing stupid things and looked like he was about to get a second yellow for a red. It just, to me, it looked like management naivety. Again, it doesn't, and we know the players are naive, but we actually have a catalogue of players to play with this time, whereas previously we didn't really have anyone else to bring off the bench. We actually had some options to bring off the bench, and I feel like I'd have put another tall body on, shall we say, to kind of defend, because we know that was all they were going to do, especially with Matt Smith.
Somebody like Pharrell Johnson, perhaps.
Yeah, him or Brewitt, just stick one of them on, just a bit more defensive mind. Not go 5 at the back. I wouldn't have gone 5 at the back because that just invites pressure. But I would have put another one in potentially for Khan, just to kind of, give us that bit more defensive part.
Well, a couple of comments coming in from Rich. Evening all. Salford, we played very well. Should have had a pen. Hi, Sarah. Did the panel think that Swindon should have played Austin or Drennan in the first half as a central striker? I think that's what you just said, Mitch. We needed a front man up front first half, one big forward and 2 speeders next to him. Then the option to change all 3, says Nick. And Matt says more poor in game management. We need more than Gav's vibes to stop throwing points away. 11 goals conceded beyond the 89th minute this season. Tough next 3 games too. We will get into the next 3 games later, obviously, because it is a tough schedule coming up. But that conceding goals in stoppage time, Dan, has been a major problem, hasn't it, this season?
Yes, it certainly has. Twice against Salford as well. So just even in games against Salford, we should have had 4 points more than we have. It's really frustrating. I was thoroughly unimpressed with Salford, actually. I think they used Matt Smith well in the first 15 or 20 minutes of the match, had sort of territorial dominance, but didn't actually end up testing Bycroft. And kind of once Swindon got their head around it and were able to kind of get out of that initial I wouldn't even call it a press, but Salford were leaving a lot of their attacking players high. But once Swindon got their head around it, I thought, the last 65, 70 minutes of the game, Swindon were dominant and should have scored at least 3 or 4 with the chances presented. Devoy, McCurdy, Waisel, Austin at the near post, a chance which you'd expect him to gobble up. Hepburn Murphy in loads of good positions and no end product. So, yeah, the biggest crime on Saturday was not being 3 or 4 up, so that when Salford scored that late goal and Swindon switched off, that should have just been a consolation for 4-1 or something similar. But I suppose at the very least, some green shoots, but old habits dying hard under the interim manager.
We should mention their keeper, of course, who made 2 or 3 bonkers saves, didn't he? So, let's throw that into the mix. But
well, I would say for Cairns, he's had a very good game, but some of the chances presented to Swindon, they should just be putting it in the corner of the goal, frankly, or getting it below the height of the crossbar. And Cairns, as good as he is, wouldn't have got hold of him. But there we go, lessons learned.
Yeah, absolutely. George McEachran's first Swindon goal, of course, but he took it well, put it in Swindon in front. Steve, it is frustrating because you're sitting there thinking, 6 minutes to go. It's a nervous 6 minutes. You never sit there feeling. I was at Accrington when we were 4-0 up after 90 minutes. You just think, goodness me. You can never relax, can you? Even at 4-0, for goodness sake.
No, you can't. I think as you say, Accrington was a very big case in point. It was but that was due to the subs. That night he just completely changed it. Thought the game was safe, and then all hell breaks loose. But no, Saturday again. It's just that lack of concentration. It happened a couple of weeks ago. It was I can't remember we were playing against at home. There was a corner, and no one was sort of paying attention.
Colchester.
That was it. Yeah, and it went goal. And again, it's just that lack of concentration. But no, I'm just going to say about Cairns as well. Outstanding. I thought he was on Saturday. 25 shots we had. Which is incredible amount. And there is. You can see Gav Gunning's thoughts. You can see his processes. There's not so much backward passing. There's more focus on getting the ball forward quicker. No, we should have had the 3 points on Saturday. But Al Zaidi, I thought he was quite impressive as well with his pace. I think once he gets up to full speed, I think he can be a real asset for League Two football. But Hepburn Murphy off day. I think maybe tomorrow give him a little bit of break and stick Mr. McCurdy back in his place. Give him a start, give him a run. I think he was trying. He's trying. We saw against Newport, and we saw on Saturday he wants to get his first goal again. But no, for all credit to the Salford keeper, he certainly did keep him in the game. But we had our chances. We did have our chances, but 1-1, not a fair reflection, I don't think, for the amount of possession and shots we had, really.
I'm not sure McCurdy could play a full game. I think he gets 25, 30 minutes. So I think that's probably their thinking with that. You bring him off the bench. Let's be honest.
Absolutely.
When he was sort of in the squad at the beginning of the game, the name rang around the ground. When he came on, the name rang around the ground. There's no doubt about it that him being back has sort of been a bit of a fillip for everybody. But what's the big fillip is getting the results, isn't it? That's the big thing.
Yeah, when that was a slight surprise, I think, sprung on us at the last minute there in the transfer window. Pretty much everyone was, let's give that a good go, and he's happy to be back as well in an old stomping ground where he did well. Hasn't gone the way he wanted at Hibernian. So, but Gunning said today, didn't he, in the Gillingham pre-match, that McCurdy could probably do 25 minutes.
Yeah.
And if you remember back to when he started with us, that's how it began. Back in that season with Garner, when he came off the bench at Bristol Rovers, if you remember, and completely changed the game. I kind of think he can be there to do that again. He hit the post at Newport, coming on in the last 15 or whatever it was. So, but it does give everyone a lift. And to be fair to the club and maybe Jamie Russell, things did take a bit of an uptick on that last day of the transfer window. Then we got in a few players that perhaps we weren't expecting to get in, and Drinnan notably like the look of, like the signing of. My feeling of that in terms of the strike pairing or the strike force 3 or whatever you want to call them is that you need one of Drinnan or Charlie on the pitch. From a height and physicality perspective, to get them onto the pitch, running that central line, and then you've got a couple of fast men either side. I kind of agree that in the first half, although it worked after the first 20 minutes, we didn't get perhaps enough of a focal point, and we need somebody big and physical, if not to help with the defence at corners as well. So I'd like to see one of Charlie or Drinnan start on a regular basis, really, and lead that line.
And I think, Anna, that's why Salford were able to box Swindon in for that first 15 or 20 minutes, because there was no out ball on the halfway line.
Sure. Let's have a look. St. George says, what was going on with that short corner? Shocking. Can't remember that, but
I think that's in the build-up to the equaliser.
Equaliser. Yeah,
McCurdy and Drinnan. And then Drinnan's back pass too.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, shocking is the word, I think. You're at the other end of the pitch and then it goes down. I mean, the point is, just keep it in the corner or something, or stick it over the stand or anything. Not let it, Anyway, it happened, and that's that. Let's have a look. What else we got? Conceding goals at any time has been poor this season. Conceding goals full stop has been a problem this season. Has the time wasting rule changed? There should have been 10 minutes of injury time for the wasted time by Salford in the first half. No more extra time, please. I couldn't stand it. Gav's full-time gaffer with our Chaz assistant player manager. Lack of proper holding midfielder would help loads. Khan isn't that. His strength is running forward with it. No really defensive-minded midfielders. I guess, Mitch, if you look at the transfer window, that was the big hole, wasn't it? A defensive midfield player. You would think that would have been the one.
I think we could all see it. What concerns me is in the fans forum, Gav said we have the best defensive midfielder in the league, but I hadn't seen him make a tackle where he hasn't fouled somebody. He's a really good, in my opinion, number 8, box-to-box midfielder, really good driving with the board, but he is not. He really came to life when they said to Kinsella, sit, okay? For some reason, they made Kinsella run off sometimes and him sit. It didn't make sense. But when Kinsella was there and he had a bit more freedom, he looked like the player that, this guy's great, but Khan is not your defensive mid. I'd be sticking, I know, Minton or Brewitt or somebody in there just to, because that's killing us. We've addressed the centre-back situation. The two at the back are great now. I really like them. I think MacArthur's amazing. He makes a massive difference. Blake Tracy looks like a completely different player next to him. It's just we're just missing, and I know we always joke about an Anthony Grant type player, but somebody who's just going to win the ball, kick it, header it, pass it away. I think I listened to McCurdy with the Life of a Kitman the other day, and he said when he played Swindon, Grant was trying to break his leg, and he said, "I want off." I said, "I'm coming off. I'm not playing against. My career's going to be over if I carry on playing." We're missing that nasty enforcer in the middle of the park who just because at the moment we're so easy and lightweight to play against.
Yeah, the name Anthony Grant comes up every week. Wherever you are, the name Anthony Grant comes up. If only he was 10 years younger, you'd have him back, wouldn't you? In a heartbeat. What happened to the Kinsella replacement that would have left Kinsella, whichever you'd wish, as a backup, says Paul. What about the recent comments from Garner and now Morris about interference and false promises when they were still managers at the club? We will talk about that later because that's come up today. The latest ex-manager to talk. Can talk all day about formation and individual players. Over the season, we haven't had all the ingredients in the team you need to be successful. So I'm just looking at Gillingham's top scorer at the minute. They've got Macaulay Bonnet, who's now at Cambridge, 5 goals with 2 assists. Connor Masterson, 5 goals, 1 assist. And then comes Connor Mahoney, 4 goals and 3 assists. I mean, they haven't got bags of goals in them, Dan, have they?
They certainly don't. I was having a look earlier, and with 14 away goals scored, I think they've racked up 7 away wins and sort of 20-odd away points. So they're a team that also don't let in many goals. I know they've not been sparkling at home recently. Their last 4 home league games, they've only limped past Sutton 1-0, a couple of defeats and a draw in there as well. So certainly, we're not going to the Bear Pit. It's a place Swindon haven't won since 1986. So let's hope we can turn that around tomorrow night. But I'd just like to echo the comments of Anna and Mitch, really. I think that front three needs an Austin or a Drinnan, possibly doing a bit of a job share, 60-30. Might get slightly better use out of 34-year-old Austin. McCarthy has been a superb addition to the back line. I think, like Mitch said, getting the best out of Blake Tracy. And yeah, the big hole, despite us having a more balanced squad coming out the back of January, it's just that central defensive midfielder. And if that person could be 6'3" and have some physicality, that would be even better. But yeah, you're kind of asking Khan, McKecker, and Kane to do a job they're not quite familiar with, and yeah, it kind of puts the emphasis on scoring enough goals to allow for the fact we're going to probably always concede at least one.
Any free agents, any 6'3" defensive midfield free agents out there? Would like to put the hands up. That'd be good. I thought we did all right Saturday, says Ben. Wasn't pretty football, but certainly better than we've seen. Is there any footage of the lino getting hit by the ball? Now, that was a weird incident, Steve. I mean, we're on the other side of the ground, and we didn't really notice what happened. And all of a sudden, the linesman's down.
Yeah.
Did you see what happened?
Didn't see it. True Arsene Wenger style. Didn't see it.
Yeah.
Didn't see it. So no. The next thing we could hear sort of like people shouting, and you looked across, and there's a lino rolling around, holding his head. You're thinking, well, has he been attacked? I hope not. Because you don't condone that hit Swindon. Is it just tripped? Has he tripped over something? Is he landed awkwardly? No, complete mystery. But by all accounts, I don't know if it was the ball they scored from hit him or not. I don't know what ball hit him, but it must have been. I don't know. But no, it completely passed me by that. Wondered if anybody else saw it. But yeah, he didn't look too clever, but managed to get on his feet, thankfully, and carry on to see the last few minutes out.
Yeah, I mean, your main concern, of course, is there's something seriously wrong with him, and and obviously once he starts sitting up again, you think, oh, well, that's all right then. But yeah, it's just a weird thing, one of those odd things that happen, and you don't notice because obviously you're looking at other things, or possibly looking at your phone to see how long's left.
Looking at the watch,
yeah. How many seconds are left? Yeah. Let's Gillingham take pride in keeping clean sheets, says Martin. Matthew says, can we just take a minute to mention how well our defence dealt with Smith last season? He would have had a couple of goals. Fair play. Gillingham goals for 29, goals conceded 36. Yeah, I'm just looking at their yeah, that's right. Because let's go through the top of the table. I wish. Stockport top played 30, goal difference 35.61. Then come Mansfield, played 30, 28 goal difference 57. And then Crewe 31 played, 12 goal difference 54. Of course, we got Stockport and Mansfield Town away from home to come in the not too distant future. In the playoff places, Barrow 31 played, 11 goal difference 53 points. Wrexham have slipped down to 5th, 29 played, 14 goal difference, 52 points. Then came MK Dons, who we've got at home, as have we've got with Barrow as well. Played 30, goal difference 11, 51 points for them. Harrogate, who we also play at home, played 30, goal difference of 1, and then 47 points. And Gillingham, we've got tomorrow, of course, 30, -7 goal difference and 46 points. Swindon in 17th, played 31, -3 goal difference, 38 points. Is any of that above the manor relevant or not?
I'd say no. I know we've got to talk aspirationally and gunning, and Mulfini said that, I think, at the fans forum. But realistically, the sort of form change that you'd have to see from the squad, I just don't think it's realistic. I think you've got to look at it and see with a view to building for next season. Some of those teams we're going to face over the next month or so. As you said, we've got Gillingham tomorrow. Then we've got Stockport. It's MK Dons. Then you've got Stockport. Yeah. Then you've got Tranmere. Then you've got Mansfield away. And Gillingham are not. Perhaps they haven't scored many goals. I think at the start of the season, didn't they win their first 3 like 1-0? 4 or 5 games they won 1-0. So they're obviously defensively fairly secure. And then the other games are going to be a real challenge. So I think it's about looking at next season. Unfortunately, we've made some permanent signings, which is good to see. Would have liked to see McCarthy as a permanent. He's made a massive difference, as we said, to that defensive line. And then we've got to look also at how we do approach those last minutes. I don't think it's just about asking the defenders to defend, because if the ball's coming into the box and you've got a big lump like Matt Smith in there. You know, he may get a touch on it. It's about keeping the ball in the corner. The ball shouldn't be anywhere near our penalty area in those last few minutes.
No.
Just put your boot through it. I don't care where it goes, how you do it, keep it in the corner. So I think it's about a change in mentality and tactics in that final few minutes, not about trying to take a corner, trying to play the ball back to the keeper when he's not really wanting it. You know, it's about a total change in tactics. So let's, I just think it's about looking forward to next season really, and trying to get a decent few points on the board, so you're not looking over our shoulder downwards. But I don't realistically see us catching those playoff spots.
Well, on that subject of pumping the ball into the stands, Daniel says, a ball that got pumped into the stands came back down and hit the linesman. So there we are. Maybe that's the mystery cleared up.
Yeah, I think it was a Salford player that kicked the second ball into the crowd. So strictly, the game should have been stopped. And then perhaps the game should have been stopped again when the linesman went down like a sack of spuds. Could have got a yellow for diving, I expect, but just bad luck on top of bad decision making, I think.
Yeah, so let's not talk about the officials. At 20, bottom two, Sutton played 31, minus 26 goal difference, 22 points. Forest Green, foot of the table, played 30, minus 27, 20 points. Mitchell, I'll ask you the sort of same question, but regarding the bottom, do we have to worry about those two? Or are we okay?
Never say never.
No.
You never know, but you'd hope. I'm going to say something optimistic here.
Ooh.
I think the players that we brought in are actually really good. I think they seem better than what we've got. And at the end of the season, we will see out most of the Sandro Di Michaelis players who we couldn't get rid of in the summer, that obviously Flynn wanted to get rid of and couldn't get rid of because nobody wanted them, so Shade, etc. And the people we've brought in seem to be better than what we already have, and they're under contract. So if we go and put some experienced players next to the players that we have actually signed, it can't be hard. I feel like there's a base of a team there. And it gives them basically the season to see where they sit and how they play. And there's certain players, the loan players are the loan players, but some of those loan players will be playing for a contract because their contracts are up. They need to prove that they can stay fit. In McCarthy's case, McCurdy's is just it's a PR situation, and we're all glad to have him back, but he won't be back here next year. But the other guys, you sit there and go, right, we actually have a goalkeeper now. We have some really fast, exciting wingers.
Yeah.
We actually signed a centre forward. We're not relying on Charlie to play every minute of every game. We just missed some key players, and there's a squad there, and not everyone's leaving in the summer, which you normally have, or you're not stuck with everyone, which Flynn pretty much had in the summer. So there is some optimism. I don't think we're going down, and I'm just, let's see how these guys kind of see where it goes. My concern is we put a run together and then we give it to Gunnan. That's my actual concern.
Okay. You don't want him to seem permanently as manager?
If he does, then go great. It'd be hard not to give it to him, but I don't know. I just don't take to him personally.
Okay, fair enough. You're entitled to have that view. I mean, you could argue, Dan, that he's improved the atmosphere around the club. Would that not be a fair point?
Yeah, mind you, it was at a very low base. I think the sign-ins have injected a little bit of fun, a little bit of short-termist optimism, but I disagree with Mitch slightly. I think actually there's going to be quite a lot of turnover in the summer. There's a real mixed bag January. There's a couple of longer term bits. I think you can look at Bycroft. I think the jury's still out. Rightly, I mean, it's only because he's not played many games.
Yeah.
I like Glatzel. I think McGurk seems to be of a good pedigree. But yeah, there's some of the sticky plaster in. I would hazard McCarthy and Albazidi probably too high a pedigree for us to get our hands on in the summer. I think McCurdy is very much looking to use Swindon as a sort of launch pad to revive his Hibs career. And, others have said it's a bit of a PR exercise. And my God, did Clem need some PR? I don't want this brief injection of fun. And, I go along to the games with my little ones, and I'm trying to separate on field where I'm desperate for us to clutch something from this season and have a bit of fun. If we could scramble 6 or 7 wins, and Gunning probably is in prime position to get the job. Unfortunately, I'm kind of with Mitch. Go out and get a proper manager. But there we go. But yeah, off field, we still can't get away from the fact that things are quite a large mess, and this sticky plastering has probably bought them a bit of time and a bit of goodwill. But yeah, summer's going to come. A lot of players are going to leave, I think, and you're kind of back to square one with a lot of turnover.
I must admit, I've never wanted the end of a season to come so quickly, because it's kind of seems to have gone on for so long and drag on this season, and you just want it done, basically. Nick says, I think our players will be better when the pitches improve. Lots of bobbling balls affecting our shots on Saturday. There was one particularly bad bobble, I think, at the town end, wasn't it? I can't remember who it was. I can't remember.
Mercolo,
yeah. And it just, well, it was a Charlie Austin type bobble, wasn't it? It just sort of kind of stuck up like that. Paul says the fans forum presentation showed 4 groups of players, something like youth, pros, experienced and older. Charlie being the older, none at all in the experienced group. That's not a good thing, is it? The fans forum. Anyway, moving on swiftly. The fixtures tomorrow night: Stockport against Crewe, Mansfield against Harrogate, Barrow against Forest Green, Sutton against Wrexham, Bradford City against MK Dons, and Gillingham against Swindon. Those are the games that affect bottom and towards the playoffs. Steve, where are you with this? Where are we doing? Are we looking down, up, or just literally sideways?
I think for now it's going to be sort of bottom half of mid-table. I think 15th, 14th, 15th, somewhere around about that. I don't think I think we realistically got to say that the playoffs are gone this year. I mean, there's a quite big gap now. Is it 6 points or 7 points gap now? Maybe a little bit more than that now. Had we won on Saturday, then yeah, maybe you just thought, well, okay, let's see where this is going. But no, I mean, I don't know. Like Mitch and Dan said, let's go and get a proper manager. We had one for a few months this season, and it didn't really work out. And the style of football that Flynn was playing is completely different to what we're sort of seeing at the moment. You can see what Gavin's Gunning is sort of putting his mark on things. It's more attacking. They're not going back to the goalkeeper. I mean, I've watched. I think it was a Crawley game. We managed to watch it on the iFollow with my partner's 12-year-old. He says, "Why do they keep passing back the goalkeeper? No wonder they're losing." So
was that the New Year's Day one?
It was the New Year's Day one, the atrocious New Year's. That was a waste of a tenner. That was. But if my partner's 12-year-old daughter can see the problems that Swindon had all season long, then we really fair play to her. But no, I think Gav Gunning, you can sort of see his mark, you can sort of see what he's trying to do, and if he's got a summer to put something together or a squad together, then why not give him a chance? He's got to start summer if he wants to be a manager. Let's give him. I mean, we all know what first time managers at Swindon have achieved in the past. So. Yeah, but as for a proper manager, we have one of those, and he kind of blew it really. But whether that's more behind the scenes, I don't know. But certainly on the field, it wasn't great.
Just coming back on that, I wonder how history will view it, Steve. I take your point. Some of the football under Gunning's been quite attractive. I'm not saying he's not without merit, but had Flynn have been given the January transfer window in August, September, and we'd built this deeper, more balanced squad, then I think that would have been a much fairer place to judge Flynn on. I think Flynn suffered
but Flynn
as a
had
symptom of the mess.
Though, didn't he?
He had the
Flynn
summer.
Had the August
The
window,
whole of the summer, yeah.
He lost the changing room. It was clear. He lost the changing room. It was easier to change the manager than to change all the players.
Well, that's fine, but I think my point stands. Flynn wasn't backed in the summer. For example, to have gone through September to January with only 3 recognised centre forwards, and quite large problems in the central defence. Who knows? But
well,
you could have backed Flynn rather than trying to do the Hail Mary in January when we're 8-9 points off the playoffs.
9 points off the playoffs, yeah.
Season tickets are already sold in the summer, though.
Yeah, I mean, bang on, mate. Yeah.
Harrogate have got 47. They're the team in the last playoff place. Right, this from Richard. Excuse me. Promotion and relegation both highly improbable now. All the excitement now around. Can we stay above the Beamish line, i.e. Division 4, 17th in 1983-84. Oh, how we enjoyed that season. Anna, your thoughts?
Yeah, it's kind of, in a way, I kind of find it's immaterial almost where we finish this season. It's about, are we building something for the future? And quite clearly, I don't have a problem with Gunning, to be honest. He clearly wants the job. He clearly, has some ideas of his own. What I don't see is he may have had some backing in the transfer window, but he doesn't have a second in command. That worries me slightly.
That's a good point.
There's some quote about him getting his managerial or his people management skills from his mate who's a plasterer or something.
Something like
I
that.
can't remember exactly what the profession was.
Yeah, electrician or something. Yeah.
Something like that, but which is fair enough. So I don't have a problem with Gunning in himself. I think the last few managers who've had some sort of pedigree in previous management positions have not worked out. So I don't have a problem with him. He's definitely injected some positivity into the squad and given them a bit of belief in themselves, and that's a big part of man management, is making players believe that they can do it. Not that they're better than they are, perhaps, but they can achieve what and organisationally and skill-wise what he's directing them to do. But I don't think that there's anything which leads you to think that there's infrastructure being put in place which gets us that upward trajectory over a long period, for example. It's not just about who the manager is. It's not just about who the manager is. I think one of the things you noticed with when Macari came in, if I can go all the way back to that, was that over a period of time, because of the success he brought on the pitch, I kind of think the infrastructure had to change to follow him. Now, unless Gunning is some sort of miracle worker, and he's only 33, so he hasn't got that experience behind him, which I do think is important. Unless he's a miracle worker, that sort of thing is not going to happen. So where's the succession planning? Where is the infrastructure at the club to support, that 5-year plan, which, by the way, should have started 2 years ago. So where is that will get us into the championship in that 5 years? I think we're still playing very much a season by season game. So in the closed season, we tend to have quite a large staff turnover on the pitch and off the pitch. So I wish Gunning all the best, because I quite like him, to be honest. I think he's made it a much more pleasurable experience going to watch the team. But I still don't see that infrastructure in place at the club to get a success over a period of time. So
yeah, I mean, I wish any manager who takes over at Swindon best, because, to be honest, if they do well, then the football team does well. It's that simple, isn't it? But Rich says Flynn had the backing, but he did not want any more players in, because Derek says Flynn was forever saying he was happy with a small squad, but is the club speak having seen recent previous managers' comments? Yeah, we'll get onto that in a minute. Jason says relegation isn't an improbability. We still have another EFL charge to come. Who knows what's coming in down the line? We never know, Mitch, do we? We never know. It's sort of like, I'd love to have a week where nothing happens. You can just sit down and just enjoy the week and think, I'm going to football Saturday, and that's it.
When I talk, so I have the pleasure of working in Oxford. So, boom.
You've mentioned that word too many times, Mitch.
And I work with another Swindon fan, so there's two of us. So when we talk about Swindon in the kitchen, people think we're talking about like footballers' wives or like something like Harchester United Dream Team. They genuinely don't believe all the things that happen, because they're Man United fans, Liverpool fans, Chelsea fans. And then when we start talking about the goings-on, they genuinely think we're talking about a TV show. That's Swindon Down, isn't it? It could be a document. It could be a series of, because it's never, ever, ever boring.
Exhausting is a word I'd use. It is exhausting. Why did they bother with Wrexham? They could have done Swindon. It'd be much more interesting, wouldn't it? I mean, I know, Dan, you've been quite vociferous about this, and I'm not one to stop you saying what you want to say. It is exhausting. I find it. I've dealt with this for 40 odd years, and it's just like, it was my day job for many years, and it takes its toll, because it's just like, just stop. I mean, it never seems to.
100%. Yeah. I think what is sad is probably go back 12, 15 months now, you started seeing some of those layers of the onion being peeled back, some of the red flags starting to show. And I think what's exposed, to Anna's point, is just the lack of a plan past month to month, season to season. I think the crumb, if you're looking for a crumb, is I think actually Jamie Russell in his recent engagements seems to be slightly warming to the job of football director, and he is a very good communicator. But actually, you look at Jamie Russell's background in football, it's in academies, it's in under 23s football, it's in setting up, conditions for success in youth football. So I think it's probably, was a job too big for him, but he's starting to warm to it now. But actually, you go back to the fans forum, Vic, you were there front and centre. I was watching on the stream. The two most important people in the room, owner, chief exec, were a rabble, frankly. Some of the people further down the line, I think, communicated well and were able to construct their thoughts. But I've just got absolutely zero faith in the people running our club that A, there's not something sinister going on. And with each passing development, I would challenge anyone to think there's not something sinister going on. And B, that, not that I want to give Lee Power any credit at all, but he was at the very least a football man. He had connections, and you got a sense there was some tiny football plan there, but it's just Swindon and just living
money
months.
out of the club, wasn't he, Dan? I mean, there's swings and roundabouts, but I'd rather have.
I'm not giving Lee Power any credit at all. I'm just saying what you've not got at the club is proper football people, and I think, I think Vic's going to bring us on to the Garner interview later, and you see how much credit Ben Chorley took, and you go back to that summer 2022 when you had a successful director of football, a successful manager who just delivered a playoff campaign in the first season after the club had been such a terrible mess. Who and why did they make the decision to remove Chorley and go a different way? Which, according to Garner, and again, pinch of salt, because it's Garner's version of events, which disenfranchised Garner, didn't want to work in that new way that they were going to go. And, ultimately has led to this two wasted season in the fourth tier. We are Swindon Town in the fourth tier.
Yeah.
And I was looking at a stat earlier, and I hate this one. The last 12 league away games, lost 9, won 1. Swindon Town in the fourth tier. It's a disgrace, Vic. So I'm trying to separate the on-field crumbs of positivity that Gurney's given us and the January transfers given us, but in the background is still this very large mess which we can't take our eye off.
Chorley was his own decision, though, wasn't it? It wasn't that's why we changed, because Chorley gone and we changed direction. It wasn't. We didn't get rid of Chorley.
I think
I think if you listen to Garner's version of events, pinches of salt allowed.
Yeah, I think it's reading between the lines a bit, isn't it?
Chorley was manoeuvred
out. The truth
is
we don't know.
Yeah, I would say, of course, and I'm bound to say that the club put their point of view at the fans forum as well. I'm just trying to balance this out. Obviously, the fans forum was a difficult night, I think, for everybody concerned, and I think a certain amount of bloodletting went on, and it was necessary. And hey, it wasn't the most pleasurable of evenings, I can assure you, but it got done. So that's that. That's why
the one thing I will say about that fans forum, the one thing I will pick up on that fans forum, there's too much Clem hid behind the excuse human error, especially when it came to financial things and everything else. Human error. Well, that didn't happen a few seasons ago. These human errors have only occurred, I think, ever since he sort of took the reins. Human error. So whoever he's got running his books or running whatever it is, and whoever he's pointing the finger at, come on, are you a football person or are you not? I mean, who is doing these human errors?
Steve, that was my question. That's the question. That's the exact question I asked him.
Yeah.
And his exact words were, I'm not going to go into the previous people. We have competent people running.
No, for me, he sometimes has more waffle than bird's eye. So he's, I don't know, he's 40% is all right. He's not making money at the club like Anna said, Lee Power did and all that, and he's trying his best. And I think he's just probably bitten off a little bit more than he can chew, and probably unearthed a lot more than what he was letting himself in for. I don't think there was quite a lot of stuff that he didn't realise, was just completely that open that box, bang, there's another surprise. Open this box, there's something else we got to deal with. I don't think he just realised just fully what he was taking on at the time. And
the people he's brought in that he trusts are just not capable.
No, far from it. Far from it. No.
All right. Well, let's draw a line under that, because there's plenty of comments coming on, and we could go on all night about it. Excuse me. And there are lots of comments coming in. Plan not at the club, not keen on the CEO, doesn't think he's got the football qualifications and the understanding of running a club. That's why fans are negative. Good first season under Clem, gone downhill since. Would have thought the opposite. Spot on, Dan. Lack of coherent plan is damning. The CEO role is being done part-time at the weekends, fitting in around his day job at Axis. I don't think he's involved with Axis anymore. Clem is a football man and cares, and doesn't take money out of the club, says Rich. Right, let's just move on then, because we could go on about this subject for hours. And as I said, it's exhausting. And I'm an old chap with a very bad cold, so I've kind of reached the point where we'll move on to another subject. We've got some games to discuss before we finish, but let's talk about those comments of ex-managers then. Today we had Jody Morris come into the frame with his remarks to Sam Allardyce about his time at Swindon, which he says he didn't get the backing that he wanted. He was told that he would be, all about the next season, all that kind of thing. And then he was told his time was up at Swindon. I mean, Anna, we don't know both sides of the story. It's only what he said. We only know what Ben Garner said. It's difficult to get your head around it all, isn't it? I mean, we've had so many managers in such a short space of time, 33 since 2000, which is a ludicrous statistic. All you want is a manager to come in and spend 3 years here, for goodness sake. It's not much to ask, is it?
Yeah, I mean, you said let's move on from the previous conversation.
Yeah,
But there's some depth in what Morris has said and what Garner said. But when you go back to Jody Morris, he was just the wrong person for this club. It doesn't matter about whether he was backed or not. I think by the end of his tenure, we were looking at him very much as we looked at John Sheridan. We just wanted him away from the club, because he didn't come across well. He didn't appear to be interested in being at Swindon Town. He didn't have the ear of the players. The players didn't seem to know what they were doing. So as far as I'm concerned with Jody Morris, he can say what he likes about not being backed, because I don't think it would have mattered if he had been backed. I don't think he would have got much better results. I think he was just the wrong person, to be honest. Garner's a bit of a different kettle of fish, because when it came to that end of that first season after Morphine had taken over, I thought, well, okay, we can build something here. Garner's someone who can take on young players. He can bring them on, and that was very, very clear that he could work with who he brought in. You see what he did with Simpson, for example, and a couple of others that was getting the best out of Aguiar, for example. So and Louis Barry. So there was really something to build on there, and it's a shame that he didn't stay on. I don't quite buy the bit about he didn't really want to leave, and Charlton came in and it was too tempting and all that kind of stuff. I got more of the impression that he hadn't got his promotion. He got an offer from a club higher up in the league. I'm off, and so be it. I wouldn't look back on Garner. It was a great experience that season. But and going back to Ben Chorley, he didn't have any previous pedigree as a director of football, I don't think, did he? Obviously, he was a football player previously. He seemed to be working well and gelling with Garner. We still don't really know why he left. It could have been some of the other stuff that's going on behind the scenes. Who knows? And he's popped up, I think, since in Spain and then left. So, maybe Jamie Russell, can come good. I thought he spoke quite well at the Fans Forum. He's obviously done a bit of research in terms of the players we brought in January, albeit not all of them permanent. So maybe there's something we can build there. But I wouldn't give 2 seconds to think back about Jody Morris, to be perfectly honest. All that's gone and done and dusted, thank goodness.
Yeah, I don't think any of us took to the style of football, did we? Yeah, Jamie Russell, I've got to say, every time I've spoken to him, I did a pitch with him on the pitch on Saturday. He seems very level-headed. He knows what he's doing, and we'll talk about the academy a little bit before we finish, because they're possibly on the verge of something special, Mitch. I mean, past managers are past managers, aren't they? I mean, they're gone, they're finished, they're out the window. I mean, you can learn lessons from them, but I didn't enjoy the Jody Morris time. I don't know about you. I mean, I just wasn't fun.
No, he complained about not having experienced players, but one of the reasons we got Jody Morris is because he was a youth manager, so youth players, so he was used to managing young players. So for me, that felt like the right fit at the time, because he knew coming in that he was going to have to work with young players. So it was just the negativity, and it was never his fault. Every interview after, it was that Ghana, I think the team we had pre-January was fantastic, and we had them all. I think we got lucky in those last 5 games where it forced his hand to change what we had to do, because what he was doing every game before that was I think it was some terrible football. I think everyone forgets that before those last 5 games, there's a gap in before where it was really awful to watch. But like I said, managers are managers for a reason. I don't think we'll ever get a manager for 3 years ever again.
No,
In this level, they're not good enough and they'll go. We'll get rid of them, or they'll be too good and they'll be taken away from us. That's just, look at Rob Edwards. He had one good season at Forest Green, and I know didn't work for Watford, but look where he is now. I just don't think who we are, like a player, anything is any good, we'll lose it and it'll go somewhere else. I just think we just got to ride. It's very rare that you get a Richie Wellens person who comes in and buys into the fans. The fans love him. He takes at that level and he says the right things. But even him at the start, people didn't take to him. I remember going to a sponsors evening and he called out some players, and I was there thinking, I don't really like this bloke. And then the following season, everything was different. You could see what he was doing with the fans. I think they're just hard to come by. I think it's hard to just accept that it will take a while to get the right manager, and who you think is the right manager probably isn't going to be the right manager, and the guy that you don't think is going to be the right manager is probably going to be the right manager, and that's just the nature of lower league football.
I'll give you 2 words: Leighton Orient. They're doing all right, aren't they?
Yeah, exactly. He's a great manager.
Ghana literally got us within 3 points of automatic promotion after a shambolic summer. Decent manager for us, says Martin. Hi, Andy. I really believe that we're going in the right direction. This season isn't going to be great, but let's build the foundations and then move forward. Yeah. I mean, what are your thoughts on this past managers thing, Dan? I mean, all right, you listen to it, you watch it, and you think, well, okay, but they're gone and their history, and you might as well listen to what, I don't know, let's go back even further, Colin Todd had to say. You're kind of if you want to go back even further. I mean, every manager has this sort of ups and downs, don't they?
Well, the thing is, first things first, who expected Sam Allardyce to be hosting a podcast this year? I didn't know he had the language skills. Secondly, it's good to listen to it. It can be instructive. But what you've got to remember, obviously, Jody Morris had the floor. He can say what he likes without the club having a right of reply. So it's always going to be a very Jody Morris version of events. I think it's probably a case of things from column A and column B can both be true. He probably wasn't backed. There probably were broken promises about facilities, training grounds, etc. I think some of the most instructive things Jody Morris said actually were, he had a good relationship with Clem, but Clem was out of the country. Got on well with the technical director, but the technical director and the CEO were kind of at loggerheads and briefing against each other. And that is not how you run a League Two football club, where quite literally you need everybody pulling in the same direction. So to have, a situation like that off field was never going to help. But Jody Morris, miserable sod. Football was crap. His manner in post-match interviews gave the sort of look of a man who just really didn't want to be there. I don't think there was a serious effort for him to turn that around and make something good of a bad situation. So, no, I don't think we'll miss Jody, but that's not to say the things he said can't be at least helpful in painting a picture behind the scenes at STFC and being quite instructive as to why maybe we are where we are now.
And we'll never forget the sabbatical of Ed Brand, will we? That was a classic moment, I think. Just briefly, Steve, because then we'll move on because we've got football to talk about. Your thoughts on this?
Well, I don't think Jody Morris is going to do himself a disservice when he's, asked about his first managerial role. He's not going to put his hands up and say, "Yeah, I cocked this up, I cocked that up." He's not going to sort of paint himself in that sort of light, is he? So he's going to blame, play the blame game and blame sort of, the support he probably had from the board or didn't have, or the lack of facilities, or this or that and the rest. He's not going to turn around and say, well, actually, I kind of lost the changing rooms a little bit. I didn't do this right. I didn't do that right. I didn't connect with the players. I didn't show any interest in that. So he's not going to do that. He's not going to paint himself in that bad light. So he's always going to put something else. He's always going to blame the false promises. He's not going to, he wants to probably get another job. And possibly, I think if anybody's wise, they probably wouldn't give him another managerial job, give him, the awful experience that we had this time last year. So no, he's never gonna blame anybody but himself, because he wouldn't do that. So no, I mean, we've moved on from Morris now. Heck, we've had another manager since then. So we had another 2 managers since then. So it's kind of just move on, forget, and crack on again. So no, he's just a mere footnote in Swindon Town's history.
One of 33. One of 33.
Absolutely.
Jackie says, let's give Gav a chance. A win, a draw, and a loss, better than the previous 10 games. Right. Let's go positive for a little while. I know it's difficult, but I'm going to talk about the under-18s because, if ever there was a shining light of the season, it's that. A win at Luton, beat Manchester United on a magnificent night, Anna, at the county ground, and then to turn over Sunderland away from home. They've got Bristol City in the semi-final of the FA Youth Cup, away from home at Ashton Gate, and hopefully they'll have a big following there that night. I mean, let's be honest. That's Jamie Russell was involved with that. It's now down to Alex Pike and, of course, to Sean Wood too. They've done a fabulous job, haven't they?
Yeah, great. I mean, when you look at that, those results, and I think the Sunderland game was the first goal we conceded in the competition,
Yes.
Wasn't it? Is that right?
Yeah.
I think we kept clean sheets all the way through. Apart from that, so there's obviously something really positive happening at under 18 level, and yeah, it'd be interesting to kind of dig a bit deeper and get under the toes of where that's all come from specifically, and see what can be built into the senior squad. So yeah, the game at Ashton Gate, they'll get a good following going down there, hopefully. What I'm also interested in is seeing how many of those players are going to be around to make the senior squad, because it's a significant jump nevertheless. And I think we saw that, didn't we, when some of those poor lads were brought on at Reading, for example, and at the end of the game at Accrington, that there's a significant step up between under 18 level and the sort of grown-up level, men against boys that you're talking about in the EFL. So some of those players, if they're still with us in a couple of seasons, will need to have gone out on loan, got some men's football under their belts before they get into the first team regularly, perhaps. But yeah, all credit to them. And there's some really good, when I look at some of the goals they've scored as well, what fantastic showing they put on. So yeah, obviously we've got to get behind them for that. Perhaps a trip to Ashton Gate. I can't believe I'm saying that after all these years going to Ashton Gate.
I know, amazing, isn't it? I keep banging on about this, but there's no football combination anymore, which is really what's badly needed. I mean, Mitch, it's great to see the young shoot. I mean, they've got experience of being in the first team. All right, they go to Reading and get stuff 5-0 and stuff like that, but they've had first team experience, and that's got to be an invaluable thing, hasn't it?
Yeah, and what it's also give Woody the chance to do is he's lost a lot of his players. So players who potentially to the first team. So some of the players who wouldn't have actually expected to play have played and shined. So the striker, for example, was never part of the original plans. Amin was a centre midfield, I believe, and the strikers were Kanu and then Abodo. Kanu got injured. Abodo's been pulled up to the team. Woody's had a chat with Amin, said, look, do you want to come up front? We don't have any strikers, kind of thing. And he's flying and he's shining and he looks amazing. And Bodo's found himself unfortunately on the bench because he keeps jumping, and when he comes on, he comes out wide. But the guys look great. And I'm watching the Man United and watch the Sunderland game as well. But what really, really impressed me about the Man United games, how structured, how organised, how everyone knew. And it's just embarrassing to say that our under 18s look so much more organised and structured than our first team. They knew who to close. No one was just running out wildly when to close them down. If he went, he come across. If he went, he came across. Keys knew that if he came inside, the other guy went out the outside, and everyone just seemed to know exactly what to do when they did it. The United game, you would have never have guessed it was the other way around. We didn't ever look like conceding. Everyone just seemed to just know exactly what to do. And when there was a 5-minute period where they didn't, Woody come out of his touchline, had a chat, made a switch change, suddenly we're stable again. And it's everyone's respecting what he's saying and listen to it. And I came out of that game just feeling like, oh my God, I can't remember the last time I left the county ground feeling like comfortable, organised, and they actually looked better than our first team. And the Sunderland game, even though it was 2-1, and there was that moment right at the end, we still didn't look like, in my opinion, we were going to lose that game. And the guys are doing, they lost to Plymouth once in the league, and that's stop them winning, kind of going for the league. But Woody's got on doing exceptionally well, and it's not just 11 players; it's a squad, and we're doing it with arguably our best 2 players are not playing. Carnew's injured, and the young kiddie from West Ham, the double barrel name, can't remember his name, Hubbard. He's come back from injury. Yeah, he's come back from injury as well. So. Hope I'll be there. I'll be at Ashton Gate watching, and hope they make the next round.
Yeah, I mean, to beat Manchester United, Daniel, is, in youth football, that's about as good as it gets, isn't it? You can't really get a lot better than that, can you?
Yeah, I mean, you'd only need to look at the under-18s Premier League. Going into that fixture, Man United had won 12 league games out of 12. And after Swindon gave them a pasting at the county ground, they went and won their next league game as well. So you are talking about the cream of the country's under-18s talent, and it's been a fantastic FA Cup run. Like I said, the 1 goal conceded is remarkable, but to Mitch's point, they just look so well drilled, so well coached. And to a point you made, Vic, I wish there was still a genuine reserve league, or at least some sort of structure in place to play development friendlies regularly, because you could easily take on 6, 7, 8 of these lads and give them a couple of years to cook, either out on loan or in that kind of development setting. And it's a brilliant batch. You've got able forwards in Amin and Abodo, slightly different sizes, but both talented. Jackson Brown in centre midfield looks physically kind of ready to me. You've got some really talented ball players, technical players in Keys and Alston and Hubbard. And, we must remember, to Mitch's point, they've been without Hubbard recently. They've been without Carnew all of the season, 2 of their main players. So, and at the back, I think Redmond Evans, I would have faith in him playing in goal for Swindon Town tomorrow. Captain, and his performance at Sunderland was magnificent. Command of his box, speed off his line. You could point in Sonny Hart at the back. The left back Chard I really like. McGregor from right back. Let's not miss out on this opportunity to produce some wonderful players. And it's not just so we can sell them. I ain't interested in that. I want some of these lads to come through and be Swindon Town players for the next 5-6 years.
That would be nice.
My mind's going back to the early 60s when all those players came through the youth system as it was then, which is nothing like it is now. And then, Summerby, Hunt, Rogers, Smart, Trollope, you go on and on and on. Steve, briefly on this again, because we are sort of overrunning a bit. But, your thoughts?
Incredible. And they didn't look flustered against Manchester United. They looked calm. They looked confident on the ball. They didn't look out of place. Absolutely brilliant. But my understanding is that the youth setup at the moment is really going places. I mean, the under-14s, I see their results. A friend of mine, his son plays for them, and I often see their match results, and they're flying at the moment as well. So the whole youth is encouraging, and hopefully that can spill in. But there needs to be some sort of bridge between 18s and the first team. I know Harrison Minton, he spoke about going on loan to Chippenham, how valuable that was, playing in sort of the National League South divisions. Kind of mirror image a little bit of League Two football, because it is a bit kick and lump it sometimes, and you've got big burly players. So the physicality of that game, for him, was kind of similar. But no, full credit to the under-18s, and hopefully, I mean, last time I went to Ashton Gate, we won 1-0 in the League Cup. Rafael De Vita headed past David James that night, so good memories of that one. But no, fingers crossed, and wish them all the best, because they have been the story this season. Forget the first team. Let's praise the youth, and praise them, and hopefully we can see some silverware from them, which be nice.
Well, 64-65, I think it was when we were in the FA Youth Cup final, wasn't it, against Man United? So it's been a long time. We're just waiting for the date of that game at Ashton Gate. So as soon as that's announced, of course, we'll have that date. It would be great. Right, okay, we'll quickly wrap up then. Got Gillingham away tomorrow night. Then we've got MK Dons on Saturday. And then the following Saturday, it's Stockport. And out of those 3 games, how many points?
Oh, I knew you were going to ask that, Vic. I knew it. I just can't call it. I don't think that. I think we have seen some positive turnaround, but those are really challenging games. And I was racking my head today to think when did we last win at Gillingham? And obviously, as we said, it was 85-86. So,
yeah.
I think out of that, at a 9, I think you've got to be happy with. Definitely be happy with a draw, 2 wins and a win and 2 draws. Bit sad maybe, but I'd be happy with that. So maybe that's what I'll say.
5 out of 9 then.
Yeah.
Mitch?
I think we'll get 3 points, and I don't know, it could be 3 draws, so they're a win in Luke Williams' period, or a win and 2 losses. I think we'll get 3 points somewhere on the line.
3 out of 9, Dan?
6 out of 9.
Wow. Okay.
Win tomorrow night. Beat
There's an optimist in there somewhere then, Dan.
I've got no rhyme or reason for that other than, please, I just want to watch a game and feel triumphant at the end of it.
Yeah.
Steve?
Well, Gillingham's manager's got a great name. I'll just leave that one there. Stephen Clements. I'm going for 2 points. I'm sorry.
2?
Yeah, a draw. I don't know. A draw tomorrow night could possibly, and then a draw against MK Dons on Saturday, and then Stockport. I can't see us getting much change out of that one. So immediately, as much as I want to say 6+, but I just don't think at the moment, as much as as we saw on Saturday. But no, I think I'll settle for a point tomorrow night, and MK Dons would be easy on Saturday, and Stockport. Well, yeah, we all know about that.
The return of Tomlinson, Payne, Kemp. I think it's fair to say.
Say no more.
Floating there. I'm not saying anything because I'm ill, so I'm taking that as an excuse, really. Simple.
Cop out.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you all very much indeed, as always.
Thank you, Vic.
Don't forget, Fultz Rush In is with you at 9 o'clock, so you haven't got long to wait before more football, Swindon-related stuff. Chris, are you there?
I am. Thank you very much, guys. We will be back next Monday with another panel to review the Milton Keynes game on Saturday. So we'll see you all at Gillingham, whoever's going, and if not, we'll see you next Monday. Okay, bye-bye.